Waitress'S inspiring act reveals incredible test. Boss's lost wallet returned, transforming lives. Clara felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as she weaved between tables, her feet barely touching the ground. Orders buzzed in her head like the din of the diner, eggs over easy, coffee refills, and more pancakes than she could count. At 28, this scramble was the rhythm of her life, but today felt different. Every clank of plates echoed the gnawing stress of unpaid bills and empty cupboards. Just last week she had counted out every dime for groceries, making her fingers numb with worry. But it's not just her. There was Lily to think about, her 6-year-old daughter with the wide, brown eyes that held so much hope. As she turned to deliver a fresh pot of coffee, her foot kicked something beneath the booth. She bent down, her heart racing as she uncovered a leather wallet, the initials TT embossed on the corner. Mr. Thompson's wallet. Her boss, a well-liked figure around town, with an infectious laugh and a kindness that permeated the diner. The wallet felt heavy in her hands, but not just from the weight. It was the burden of her conscience that nearly brought her to her knees. A part of her screamed to consider the possibilities. How much cash could be in there? Rent was overdue, and Lily's birthday was coming up. She could finally sign up for that community college course she had been eyeing. A slice of hope in an otherwise bleak future. Stretching her fingers, she hesitated. Then the reality of her choices flooded in. A wave of heat spread through her as ethical questions collided in her mind. Instead of enriching her life, was she prepared to ruin her integrity for a few bills? Taking a deep breath, she shuffled through the busy diner, her heart in her throat, until she found Mr. Thompson at the counter, laughing with a couple of regulars. It didn't even feel like truth until the words were out of her mouth. She handed him the wallet, and his expression shifted from jovial to astonished. "You could have changed your life today, Clara," he murmured, his voice trembling as gratitude poured from him, warming her insides against the lingering chill of doubt. "I want to help," he continued. "I'm offering you a scholarship to the community college." Stunned, Clara blinked rapidly as time slowed down. Was this what her heart longed for? A chance, a real chance at a different life? But the weight of guilt tightened around her throat. What about Lily? A look of confusion and pride washed across her daughter's face as she watched, and all Clara could think was that she wouldn't give time back with her child. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days passed as whispers of an inspiring waitress traveled through town, bunching up the tension like a rubber band at the back of her mind. Compliments came her way, but each one felt like chains clamping tighter around her guilt. Clara felt the pressure mount. With every day that passed, fractions of her dreams were tugged away, leaving behind a forsaken shadow of aspiration. What if she couldn't be there for Lily's first school play? The doubts bubbled up alongside her hope, a churning sea of fear and unease as she stood between welcoming tables and a life-changing opportunity. Clara pressed her hands to her temples, feeling the walls close in. With each tick of the clock, the stakes climbed higher, and just when clarity seemed in sight, the unexpected twisted her path anew. An urgent message from her landlord sent her heart sinking, darkness creeping back in, reminding her that each decision came at a cost. Would she find the bravery to chase her dream without denying the love that anchored her? As she stared at Lily, unaware of the storm swirling within her mother, Clara's fate hung in the balance, an unimaginable choice resting uncomfortably on her shoulders, painfully uncertain, delicately fragile, and the ticking clock pulsed painfully loud against the wall, reverberating the echo of her next move. The following day loomed like a heavy fog over Clara as she stepped into the diner, the air thick with the weight of anxiety. The usual rush of breakfast orders was there, but Clara found it hard to focus. Each time she made her way to the counter, her mind replayed Mr. Thompson's words with relentless frequency. The scholarship, an opportunity to finally pursue something tangible. Yet as her hands moved to take orders, doubt nested persistently in the corners of her mind. The joy of being a good mother flipped her stomach inside out. Could pursuing her own dreams truly coexist with maintaining her role as Lily's anchor? The thought often blossomed into a toxic mix of resentment. Why hadn't she made better choices? Why had she stored her hopes in a box, safely tucked away for so long? As the lunch rush arrived, a sudden crisis demanded her attention. A customer dropped a steaming plate, sending shards of glass fluttering like angry fireflies onto the floor. In an instant, the bustling diner fell silent, save for the clattering debris. Clara sprang into action, her movements instinctual as she rushed to ensure the customer's safety, her heart racing not just from adrenaline. The incident reflected her chaotic internal state and mirrored her life, a delicate balance teetering on the edge of disaster. The aftermath of the incident brought a wave of praise. A few regulars commended her quick thinking amidst the chaos, each compliment a bittersweet reminder of her internal conflict. As they all spoke high praises, Clara felt an unfamiliar lightness wash over her. It was the semblance of confidence she hadn't known existed. The moment sparked a realization. She could manage chaos. She navigated the diner's turbulence daily. However, with this new light came piercing clarity. If she could handle the unpredictability of her job, why not the uncertainty of a college application? Why not embrace ambition instead of watching from the sidelines? Yet the specter of Lily's innocent gaze anchored her internally. That evening, Clara tried to focus on the particulars of her bills, while glancing restlessly at her rent notice. The timer on the oven ticked mercilessly as she tossed together ingredients for dinner. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. It was a text from Mr. Thompson, checking in to see how she felt about the scholarship. The weight of the notification forced her to reflect deeper. The thought of saying no or avoiding the opportunity made her sick. If she turned him down, would she be letting herself down too? Each decision felt fiendishly tangled. If she committed, how would she balance motherhood, work, and studies? Clara felt like she was standing at the edge of a precipice, the thrill of diving into unknown waters coupled with a paralyzing fear of what awaited her below. Yet pressing against the walls of her self-doubt was something raw. A budding determination slowly unfurling like a flower in spring. Each moment that she stifled her ambitions felt like a betrayal to both herself and Lily. She envisioned them in a better life, where education was an investment in happiness rather than a merging of resentment and sacrifice. Then the urge to type back to Mr. Thompson quickened her pulse. "I want in." The simple phrase would reshape her horizon. Just as she caught herself preparing to hit send, another anguished message vibrated her pocket. A text from the landlord threatening eviction. The noose of responsibility tightened further, and she hovered painfully between decisions. Did she have the strength to answer this call for change, to rise beyond her current pain? As she stood there, heart hammering and hands trembling above the screen, an unmistakable thought dawned upon her. She was the one who held the keys to her future. Would she seize it? The horizon of her life waited just beyond the curtain of her choices, deceiving and tantalizing all at once. The question remained, though. Could she embrace the uncertainty and release herself from the shackles of self-imposed limitations? With her pulse racing, Clara unlocked her phone, her heart balanced delicately on the decision. It was time to take the leap. What awaited her on the other side, she couldn't foresee, but the act of choice held promise. And as she pressed send, a new storm brewed, a confrontation with the depths of her decisions, ambitions, and the risks of new heights lay imminent, threatening to unearth both her courage and her fears. What challenges would she face as she tested the boundaries that defined her? Clara blinked at her phone, the screen illuminating the dim kitchen where she had just made her decision. "I want in." The words were now in the ether, irreversible. A surge of exhilaration coursed through her, but it was married to an impending weight. What had she just committed to? The following days at the diner felt different. The hustle and bustle remained, but Clara found herself stepping into each moment with a renewed sense of purpose. Every order she took, every coffee she refilled, her mind hummed with the fresh possibilities that lay ahead. With every customer served, a small fragment of that anxiety faded, replaced by an invigorating blend of hope and apprehension. Yet, as she reveled in this newfound clarity, a reality check loomed large. During her shifts, every moment of camaraderie with her co-workers shifted from simple interactions to strategic evaluations of her commitments. Would she manage her time effectively enough to juggle college assignments while maintaining her responsibilities? The clock ticked insistently, each passing second a reminder of the ticking paycheck and ever-mounting bills. Then, one slow Wednesday afternoon, while wiping down the counter, movement towards the back caught Clara's eye. It was Mr. Thompson, stepping into the diner, his demeanor focused yet relaxed. He caught her gaze before moving to his usual booth. She felt a flicker of shame. The promise she had made felt vast and all-consuming. Yet so were the chains of her past decisions. "Hey, Clara," he greeted warmly as he sat. A twinge of regret stirred momentarily at the thought of touching base about more than just pleasantries. "Hi, Mr. Thompson," she managed, her voice steady despite the disarray churning within her. "I hope you've thought more about the scholarship." His tone was encouraging, but Clara sensed a weight behind it. "I have," she responded, her determination flaring briefly. "And I still want to go for it." The glint in his eye revealed he had anticipated this response. "Good. But I want to make sure you know what you're signing up for. College isn't just classes. It requires a lot of self-discipline and passion. It will challenge everything you're used to." This was what she needed. A reality check. She had always seen herself in a flurry of chaos, a whirl where she managed one task at a time, but there was something thrilling about being thrown into a rigorous academic landscape. Wasn't she already functioning in chaos? Could she push through even further? Clara offered him a small, determined smile. "I think I'm ready to take that challenge." "Speaking of challenges, Clara, can I ask a favor?" He shifted slightly, pulling out a crumpled wallet. "I lost this during the lunch rush last week. I need it back. It contains some valuable items." Her heartbeat quickened. The chaos of the diner flooded back, and her instincts nudged her to reflect. She remembered seeing the wallet slip from someone's pocket while she worked the crowd. She felt that familiar rush of adrenaline, the need to solve this puzzle. "Of course, I'll help you look for it," Clara assured him, her resolve steeling. In those few moments, she approached the challenge like she navigated motherhood. Every decision felt like a decision for both of them. It was no longer just about her ambitions, but also about proving to herself that she could rescue more than just her aspirations. They searched the area together, retracing footsteps, peering under tables, and asking fellow employees if they had seen anything amiss. As they exhaustively scoured the diner, the conversation shifted to aspirations and their roots. "Clara, what do you hope to study?" Mr. Thompson probed as he passed an empty table she hadn't noticed before. "Something practical, maybe nursing, something that can make a difference," she answered, her breath hitching slightly. "And I want to show my daughter that pursuing dreams takes work, but it pays off." He nodded thoughtfully. "A noble choice. And you never know the kind of impact you'll have. You have a knack for helping people." The words reverberated within her. With every deceptively mundane moment, she saw layers of herself reflected, her ability to handle chaos, the urgent need to make a real impact. And yet, she felt the walls of her self-doubt persist, still looming in the background. Moments later, through a stroke of luck or intuition, Clara spotted a glint of leather behind the soda machine. With a triumphant gasp, she reached for it and pulled out the battered wallet, the weight of anxiety lifting in the process. "Found it!" she beamed, revealing the item as if it were a trophy. For the first time that week, she felt the kick of a true victory. Mr. Thompson took the wallet, and Clara received the gratitude in full measure. The relief wasn't just in the act of returning it, but in the knowledge that she had faced a challenge head-on. Each moment taught her that not only could she manage chaos, but that she was also transforming that chaos into her strength. As she stepped back to the diner's rhythm, the nagging question beckoned fiercely. Could each decision she made from here propel her toward the light of her dreams, nudging her further on this unwritten path? The undercurrent of excitement surged through her veins, but she knew, balancing her aspirations with real-life responsibilities was only beginning. What awaited in the realm of academia and personal growth, what sacrifices or triumphs might arise next, started to beat insistently at her consciousness. The time had come to face deeper truths, both within her and around her, as the boundaries of what was possible started to blur. Would she at last embrace her full potential, no matter the cost? Clara approached her next shift with a sharpened sense of focus, the challenge of academia lingering in the back of her mind like a constant soundtrack. As the diner buzzed with activity, the knowledge that every moment spent here could be a step towards her dreams fueled her determination. It was an exhilarating thought, yet in the dim corners of her mind, self-doubt lurked stubbornly. Could she truly manage this new chapter of her life, fraught with commitments and expectations? The diner was particularly packed that day. Clara darted between tables, refilling coffee cups and taking orders, her mind whirling like the plates she carried. Each interaction with a customer felt charged. She poured not just coffee, but also a bit of herself into every exchange. The warmth of small conversations transformed into the promise that hard work could lead to something larger than her current life. During a brief lull, she leaned against the counter, breathing deeply as she wiped her hands on her apron. Mr. Thompson entered the diner again, and his presence ignited her resolve. He offered her a nod of recognition, a silent acknowledgement of their previous collaboration. That glint of belief in his eyes resonated with her. It reminded Clara that she was capable of transformation. "Clara," he called, settling into his usual booth. "I'd like to talk to you about the scholarship again." "Of course," she replied, stepping closer, curiosity lifting her energy. "Have you given any thought to how you'll balance your studies and work?" he asked, his expression serious yet supportive. Clara hesitated. The idea of managing work hours, study sessions, and parenting a young child was daunting. "I suppose I'll just have to make it work," she said, a half-hearted grin breaking through her uncertainty. "Making it work isn't always enough. You'll need to plan and prioritize," he advised, threading his fingers together. "What will you do to ensure you're not overwhelmed?" The reality of his words sent ripples through her confidence. Clara could feel her resolve beginning to crack under the weight of introspection. "I've never really been a planner. I usually go day by day," she confessed, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "Maybe it's time to change that," he suggested gently. "Think about your motivations and write down your goals. It could help clarify what you need to focus on." The discussion lingered as she went about her tasks, but it began to shift something in her. She realized that to truly manage this new chapter, she needed to see beyond the immediate chaos. Each meal served was a contribution to creating her future, each interaction with customers sharpening her skills, not just as a waitress, but as a future nursing student, a provider, a role model for her child. That evening, after her shift, Clara settled down with a notebook. She wrote her goals in bold letters. "Becoming a nurse, balancing work and education, being a strong example for my daughter, facing my fears." The act of committing her aspirations to paper made them feel real and attainable. But as she penned her ambitions, anxiety twisted in her stomach like a coiled spring. What if she didn't succeed? What if all her efforts led to the same dead ends that had plagued her before? Questions tumbled around her mind, each one loud and insistent. Just then, the door swung open, and a regular customer, an elderly man named Mr. Gleason, shuffled in, his usual jovial demeanor dampened by worry. Clara approached him, sensing his distress. "How can I help you today, Mr. Gleason?" she asked. "My granddaughter is sick, Clara, and I—" His voice trailed off, and he looked down and defeated. In that moment, Clara felt a familiar fire ignite, the urge to help. "Let me grab you a cup of tea. I'll be right back." She hurried to the kitchen, her thoughts clearing. This was why she wanted to be a nurse, to alleviate suffering, no matter how small. As she poured hot water over the tea bag, something clicked within her. This was the impact she wanted to have on the world. The fear of failure morphed into something else. Determination to try, to grow, to be better for not just herself, but for others as well. Clara returned with the tea, careful to provide a warm smile along with it. "This should help. And remember, she'll be okay." Mr. Gleason looked up, his eyes softening. "Thank you, Clara. You never know how a kind word or gesture can mean such a lot." As she stepped away, she absorbed the moment, the weight, the purpose, the burgeoning belief. Each compassionate act was a testament to her potential, a gentle reminder that there were paths to explore beyond self-doubt. And yet, the deeper questions about the balance of her life and the commitment to her goals loomed large. The list of her dreams now felt like a ticking clock, urgent and insistent. Would she be able to position herself firmly on the path she had drafted, or would she falter and fall behind before she could even begin to pursue her aspirations? The uncertainty mingled with anticipation. Clara found herself yearning for clarity, knowing the next steps would be crucial. The time to step forth into that uncertain future was drawing near, and with it, the thrilling terror of commitment awaited. What would happen when she finally faced the integral decision that lay ahead? Clara arrived for her next shift, the morning sun casting long shadows across the diner floor. The familiar clatter of dishes and hum of conversation greeted her, yet a cloud of anxiety loomed overhead. Yesterday's resolve felt fragile, a thin layer of trust over her growing self-doubt. As she settled into the rhythm of her tasks, her mind wandered back to Mr. Thompson's advice. Planning and prioritizing, concepts that once felt foreign now seemed vital. She took a moment to jot notes on a small pad, sections mapped out for her responsibilities both at work and home. Shift times, study sessions, childcare. With each entry she felt a flicker of control, as if she were carving out a path in the fog. Movement at the front of the diner caught her eye. Another regular Mrs. Johnson entered, her face a tapestry of worry. Clara approached, sensing the burden weighing heavily on the woman. "What's the matter, Mrs. Johnson?" she asked softly, genuinely concerned. "My husband, well, he lost his wallet again. I just don't know how to deal with this," Mrs. Johnson confessed, her voice shaking slightly. In that instant, Clara reflected on moments missed, opportunities past. A spark ignited within her. "Let me help you," she stated, surprising herself with the determination in her voice. "I can ask around if anyone's seen it." The old woman's eyes brightened, and Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. In offering her assistance, she recognized a growing facet of her character. She was capable of more than waiting tables. She could forge connections and make a difference in people's lives. Clara darted through the diner, asking customers if anyone had inadvertently come across a misplaced wallet. Each interaction reinforced a sense of community, a reciprocal relationship playing out in small, warm gestures. As her inquiries continued, an unexpected thought struck her. What if she were to use this situation as a learning opportunity? It didn't just have to be about the wallet. It could showcase her problem-solving skills, her quick thinking, attributes that mattered in healthcare too. The realization reignited her ambition. With each question asked and every ounce of compassion shared, she was stepping into a role that suited her budding aspirations of becoming a nurse. After several minutes, a young man entered, a look of relief brightening his face. "I think I found it," he exclaimed, holding out the wallet. Clara's heart swelled, the weight of the diner's collective breaths released in a single moment of triumph. Moments later, Clara returned to Mrs. Johnson, handing over the wallet. The woman's gratitude spilled forth, wrapping Clara in warmth. They stood in that instant, two strangers unified through shared experience, and the diner seemed to pulse with lifeblood. The day chugged along, but Clara couldn't shake the exhilaration from her earlier experience. After her shift, she found herself leaning against the counter, fingers tracing the fabric of her apron, as she contemplated the profound link between her actions and her goals. Each successful interaction, each resolved issue was not just a task checked off. These were vital building blocks for her ambitions. But as night settled in and the diner emptied, self-doubt crept back. Could she harness this momentum? Was helping in small daily ways enough to prepare her for the demanding, critical environment of nursing? The shadows of her insecurities dashed against the growing confidence she had nurtured. Deciding on a strategy, she pulled out her notebook from yesterday and wrote down her new revelation. "Helping others is the foundation of my journey." Clara closed her eyes briefly, brewing a plan, swirling possibilities. It was time to take bolder steps, to blend her newfound ability to help with her educational pursuits. But what would that look like? The next phase of her journey beckoned, sparking a flame she needed to fuel into a blaze. As the diner emptied entirely, and she gazed out into the night, a thought turned over in her mind. Was she ready to step up and face something beyond simply meeting immediate needs? A chance to make a real impact, not just in the diner or her neighborhood, but on a larger scale? The question lingered heavily, teasing her with the prospect of imminent choices that could redefine her future. What awaited her beyond the threshold of the diner, and how would it test everything she now stood for? Clara awoke the next morning with resolve thrumming in her veins. The sun streamed through her window, illuminating her small kitchen. Today she would not just work another shift. She would explore deeper connections and reaffirm her dedication to her future as a nurse. With her notebook resting on the table, she thumbed through her previous notes, each scribble resembling the outlines of a map leading toward the uncharted territory of her potential. After her morning routine, Clara clenched the strap of her bag as she stepped out the door, determination propelling her towards the diner. The familiar scent of coffee and bacon enveloped her as she entered. But now, instead of feeling the weight of apprehension, excitement surged through her. She exuded a quiet confidence. As she slid into her usual space behind the counter, her eyes scanned the diner. Each familiar face was a reminder that she could approach her coworkers and customers not merely as a waitress, but as a budding healthcare professional. That thought alone sparked a strategy. "Hey, Clara!" called out Mr. Thompson, his voice warm. "Ready to take on the world today?" She smiled, allowing his encouragement to inspire her. "You have no idea," she replied, her pulse quickening at the prospect of initiating change. "Good. We need your energy with the breakfast rush," he responded. "Remember, it's all about teamwork." Once the initial wave of patrons settled, she sought out Cynthia, her fellow waitress, sharing a table during a lull. Could we have a chat? Clara began, seeking not just casual conversation, but a partnership. Sure. What's up? Cynthia leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. Clara hesitated momentarily but pressed on. I want to ask for your help with something. I've been thinking about ways we can support our customers better, like health and wellness tips for their needs. I believe it could improve their experience here and help us connect on a deeper level. Cynthia's brow furrowed, then relaxed. You mean like a mini health corner? I love it. Grinning, Clara felt the pieces starting to fit together. Claudia and her ideas were shaping her within the diner as well. We could create little cards with tips, like hydration advice or quick stress relief exercises. What do you think? I'm in, but you realize you're going to have to lead this, right? Cynthia warned, a teasing glint in her eye. A flicker of apprehension shadowed Clara's resolve. Leading meant stepping into the spotlight, which could expose the very doubts she was trying to overcome. But the thought of making a difference propelled her forward. Maybe that's exactly what I need, she said, firming her voice against the swell of uncertainty. Before long, Clara found herself engrossed in research, gathering information during breaks and jotting down ideas. Each step toward educating customers amounted to a personal challenge and an opportunity for external affirmation of her aspirations as a nurse. Publishing pamphlets would draw on her nascent leadership skills while reinforcing her commitment to community health, further solidifying her identity. As doubts frequently threatened to derail her journey, she found solace in moments of reflection, benchmarks of her progress to lean on. She'd already transformed the experience of returning Mrs. Johnson's wallet into a catalyst for growth. Now, facing new challenges presented opportunities both in her career and personal life. However, as she prepared to unveil the project to her boss, a creeping anxiety clawed at her resolve. What if he dismissed the idea? Or worse, what if her insecurities surfaced publicly, unraveling the fragile confidence she had nurtured? She took a deep breath, steeling her nerves. The shift drew to a close, and Clara's heart raced. The moment to present her initiative had arrived. Would she rise to the occasion and fully embrace this opportunity for leadership and growth, or would she retreat into the shadows of self-doubt once again? With the clock ticking, she approached Mr. Thompson's desk, ready to step into a pivotal chapter of her personal and professional development. How he would react could either bolster her burgeoning self-image or shake it to its core. The moment of truth loomed, and Clara felt the weight of her impending decision on her shoulders. Clara stood at Mr. Thompson's desk, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She cleared her throat, attempting to shake off the shadow of self-doubt looming at the edges of her resolve. She had researched, planned, and envisioned the positive impact of her health initiative for weeks. Yet the prospect of voicing it to her boss felt like standing at the edge of a high dive, peering down into the uncertainty below. Mr. Thompson, she began, her voice steady. I've been working on an idea to foster better health awareness among our regulars. His eyebrows lifted, curiosity alighting his features. I'm listening. Taking a breath, Clara plunged ahead. I thought we could create a small health corner in the diner, a place where customers could find quick wellness tips, like stress relief exercises, hydration advice, and nutritional information. Interesting, Mr. Thompson replied, leaning back in his chair. What's the purpose behind it? Every day I see patrons coming in, and many of them seem stressed out or exhausted, Clara explained, feeling momentum lift her words. This could improve their experience here and help build deeper connections with our customers. It's not just about serving food, it's about nurturing well-being. Mr. Thompson nodded slowly, tapping his pen on the desk. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Clara, but have you thought about how this would fit into our daily operations? It could be a lot of work on top of our usual responsibilities. An unexpected heaviness settled in her stomach. His skepticism stabbed at her confidence, but instead of retreating, a surge of determination kindled within her. I understand it might be challenging, she said, keeping her voice steady. But I believe it could be manageable. We can start small, just a few pamphlets or cards. If it doesn't gain traction, we can always reassess. His gaze softened, betraying a glimmer of approval. All right, I support the idea. Start working on a proposal with Cynthia and see how we can integrate it. You'll need to show me how it fits into our business model. Relief mingled with exhilaration as Clara felt a grin beginning to spread across her face. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I won't let you down. Stepping away from his desk, she sensed the burden of insecurities lifting. She had articulated her vision, and that alone felt like a victory. As she rejoined the bustling atmosphere of the diner, Clara's mind raced with possibilities. She found Cynthia, who was busy taking orders, and eagerly relayed the news. "He's on board! We can actually do this!" Cynthia's eyes sparkled. "That's awesome! When do we start?" "Right now," Clara replied, her excitement igniting a fire. "We'll brainstorm what information we want on the cards." The two women settled into a booth, excitedly bouncing ideas off each other. Clara dove into her thoughts, fusing her educational goals with the diner's casual vibe. "What if we included local wellness events or tips on how to cope with seasonal allergies?" she suggested, writing furiously in her notebook. As they plotted their next steps, Clara uncovered layers of confidence beneath her initial fears. Each idea felt like a brick solidifying the foundation of her potential career in nursing. The world of healthcare wasn't limited to hospitals. It could be present in everyday interactions, right among the community she served. However, as the shift wound down, the weight of leadership began to loom large once more. With her plan unfolding, Clara realized she would not only have to guide this initiative, she would need to rally other co-workers and capture the interest of customers. She had initiated a spark, but now it was up to her to keep the flame alive. That night, as she lay tossing and turning in bed, the weight of her commitment pressed against her chest. What if she struggled to gain support from her colleagues? Or worse, what if customers dismissed their efforts? The anxiety stirred, mingling with an insistent drive to succeed. With dawn approaching, Clara resolved to face any obstacles in her path. No longer just a waitress, she was now a catalyst for change, her determination reaching a new horizon. In just a few hours, she would have to present her full proposal to Mr. Thompson. Was she ready to lead a project that could redefine her identity? Clara stood before the mirror, the amber light of dawn breaking through her window, illuminating her face. She could see the tension etched above her brow, a reminder of the unknown waiting for her once she stepped through the door into the diner. Today was not just another shift. It was a turning point. She reached for her brush, desperate to tame the wild strands of her hair, but her mind was already tangled in a web of worry. Each moment felt like an anchor dragging her down. What if Mr. Thompson didn't grasp her vision? What if Cynthia's excitement fizzled out when the hard work began? The thought gnawed at her, threatening to unravel the confidence she had built the previous day. Yet deep inside her, a flicker of courage remained, a stubborn flame urging her not to retreat into the shadows of self-doubt. As she arrived at the diner, the familiar clatter of dishes and the sizzling sound of bacon greeted her. Clara inhaled deeply, absorbing the warm, savory aromas that had come to represent her second home. Spotting Cynthia already at work, a note of anxiety turned into a determined grin as she approached. "Ready for this?" Cynthia asked, leaning against the counter, her face bright with anticipation. Clara nodded, forcing words through her constricted throat. "We can't hold back. Let's just get this plan in front of him." The two women spent their first minutes plotting their approach, laying out their proposal like a map of uncharted territory. Tara, another waitress, joined them, her expression curious. "What's going on?" Clara could feel her heart rate quicken. "We're launching a health initiative, a little corner in the diner with wellness tips." "A corner for wellness? That sounds unique," Tara replied, folding her arms skeptically. Clara felt the words prick her confidence. "It's more than just a corner. It's about creating a space for improvements in our community's well-being. Think of the customer's daily stress and how we could help." Tara nodded slowly but remained distant, her body language screaming indecision. Clara took a breath, pushing herself to challenge this apprehension. "I think there's a lot of room for creativity. If you're interested, we could use your ideas. Everyone's voice matters." The moment hung in the air, and Clara didn't realize how desperately she needed that support until it faltered. Tara met her gaze, a flicker of intrigue sheltering behind the doubt. "All right, I'll give it a shot." The stirring of solidarity invigorated Clara. Mentally, she tallied a small victory. It was just the first among many she would need to earn. As the morning rush ensued, Clara found herself multitasking with renewed fervor, each order filled with an unspoken dedication to her project. The pressure of ensuring that Mr. Thompson would see the worth of her efforts transformed into exhilaration. She had begun to sew a tapestry of commitment that stretched beyond her own ambitions. When the lunch break loomed, Clara breathed deeply, her request already echoing in her mind. "Mr. Thompson, could I present our proposal now?" she asked, her voice steady. He looked up from a menu, a task he'd been diligently reviewing. "Sure, Clara. I have a moment," he replied, a thread of curiosity in his tone. Clara squared her shoulders and felt her heart lift. She launched into the proposal, her words flowing with conviction. As she spoke, she could see Mr. Thompson's brow furrow slightly, and for a moment she feared she would lose him. But she pressed on, detailing the potential impact and the simple yet significant changes they could implement. When she finished, silence wrapped around them, and Clara held her breath, waiting for feedback. Would her initiative flourish, or would it flicker out like a forgotten candle? "I admire your drive, Clara, but remember, real change takes time and effort. Are you ready for that responsibility?" Her insides twisted. This was not merely a challenge. This was a test of her resolve, her desire to reshape not just a corner in the diner, but who she had always believed herself to be. "I am," she responded, a fierceness igniting in her core. "All right, let's see if we can make this work," Mr. Thompson said, leaning back in his chair. A rush of hope surging through her body transformed into elation. Clara's vision was no longer confined to her thoughts. She was on her way to steering something meaningful and dynamic. However, the weight of expectation began to press on her. Would she pull her colleagues together? Would customers care enough to engage? "Maybe the question isn't about their interest, but rather if I can inspire it," she whispered to herself, suddenly aware of the looming challenges ahead. Stepping out of his office, Clara was left with the tangible proof of her determination, as well as the reality that the hardest battles awaited her yet. Each ally would need to be coaxed, every dissenting voice softened. The task was monumental, and the journey ahead could redefine everything she sought to achieve. Just as she began to contemplate her strategy, the diner door swung open with a loud chime. A rush of energy flooded in, and Clara turned, only to find an unexpected guest, a figure from her childhood who had always known her by a different name. The memories crashed over her as she realized that facing her past might hold the key to unlocking even deeper potentials. Clara's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the familiar figure who had just entered the diner. It was Rachel, her childhood friend, someone who had shared in the innocence of youth, yet someone who had also become a symbol of everything Clara had distanced herself from in her quest for self-discovery. The girl who once filled the corners of Clara's memories now stood before her, bringing with her a whirlwind of unresolved emotions. Rachel's eyes lit up when she spotted Clara. "Clara! Is it really you?" She rushed forward, and for a brief moment, Clara felt the comfort of familiarity wash over her, but it quickly twisted into apprehension. This was not just a reunion. It felt laden with the implications of past choices and the narratives they had each woven over the years. "Rachel," Clara said, adopting an unsure smile. "It's been a while." "I know. I heard you were working here. I was in town and just had to come see for myself," Rachel replied, her voice bright with an earnestness that caught Clara off guard. Clara's heart pounded. Confrontations with the past had always unsettled her, but today was critical. Would this encounter distract her from her mission, or could Rachel's unexpected presence provide a new perspective? "Why don't you sit with me?" Clara offered, half hoping it would serve as a distraction from her looming responsibilities. The two women took a booth near the window, the sounds of the diner fading into the background as they exchanged pleasantries. Clara wrestled with a sense of unease as Rachel recounted her journey, the struggles, the victories, and particularly a recent change in her life that pushed her into a new career path. "It's amazing how things change," Rachel said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I'm in community organizing now, helping people find their voice and make their needs known. It's so fulfilling, Clara. You should consider doing something similar." Community organizing. The words echoed in Clara's mind, stirring another wave of doubt. She was already on the edge with her health initiative, not community activism, but focusing on wellness within the diner context. Would this path of hers ever satisfy that hunger Rachel seemed to embody? "What about your art?" Clara asked, attempting to steer the conversation onto familiar ground. She had always admired Rachel's vibrant creativity, a stark contrast to Clara's more subdued ambitions. "I've put that on hold for now, but it taught me a lot," Rachel said with a hint of nostalgia. "Sometimes you have to step away from your comfort zone to see the bigger picture. It's hard, but it's revealed things about myself I never knew. You can't be afraid to take those steps, Clara." Her words lingered, and Clara couldn't help but feel stirred by the challenge. Taking risks had terrified her, yet here was Rachel, someone who had once felt lost now flourishing in an unknown world. Was it time to consider how confronting her past could refine her purpose rather than distract from it? As their conversation shifted, Clara shared her vision for the health initiative. Rachel leaned in, engaged and inquisitive. That sounds fantastic. Have you thought about how you might connect with the customers? Perhaps leverage your strengths? Clara felt the fire of inspiration reignite as Rachel posed that question. Leverage her strengths? Wasn't that what she was attempting to do? But just the thought of vulnerability sent chills down her spine. If she extended herself, her doubts would be laid bare, and that idea terrified her. The lunch rush began to swell, but Clara remained focused on Rachel. What if I fail to engage them? What if they dismiss my ideas? You won't know unless you try, Rachel replied, her voice firm yet encouraging. Think about the connections you could make and how they may surprise you, just like you're reconnecting with me. Clara watched as Rachel's energy sparked the slightest flicker of determination in her. Perhaps there was more to be gained by opening herself up than simply forging ahead with plans. As the diner filled with customers, Clara felt a newfound resolve forming within her. The looming idea of facing her past wasn't just about Rachel, it was about understanding herself anew. She would not let trepidation immobilize her anymore. Just then, Clara spotted Mr. Thompson returning from the kitchen, a wallet clutched defensively in his hands. His expression was a mix of frustration and concern. He scanned the diner. "Has anyone seen a wallet?" he called out, his voice cutting through the hum of conversation. Clara's heart raced. Her mind raced even faster. A sudden thought flashed through her. What if she seized this moment to unite the diner staff and customers? Perhaps returning that wallet could lead to a team-building experience, strengthening connections through collaboration, thus propelling her health initiative. "Let's find it," Clara announced, unexpected urgency filling her voice. Her words ignited a spark among her colleagues, temporarily shifting attention away from their individual tasks. She directed customers to help and rallied the staff for a search. In this unplanned moment, Clara found clarity. Her life was no longer just about embracing responsibility. It was also about creating bridges, empowering herself and others to step into the light together. Emboldened by the camaraderie developing around her, Clara glanced toward Rachel, who nodded in encouragement. But with this momentum brewing, Clara felt the weight of a deeper question rising within her. Was she truly ready to confront the multifaceted layers of her past, and ultimately, herself? As the search continued, Clara realized the answer lay just within reach, but the deeper dive into her identity awaited just beyond the comfort of the diner walls. Would she take the leap? Clara took a deep breath, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with the palpable excitement in the diner. Energized by the collective effort to find Mr. Thompson's lost wallet, she felt the weight of uncertainty start to lift. This was her moment, a reflection of her growth, and for the first time, she embraced the idea that the past did not have to dictate her future. The search swelled with energy, laughter echoing as customers joined in, exchanging stories of lost belongings and laughter at past blunders. Clara's heart warmed as she observed these connections unfurl before her. The diner was not merely a workplace, it became a vibrant backdrop for community, a place where her dreams could coalesce. Mr. Thompson joined the endeavor, excitement tinged with curiosity. "Clara, I see something different about you today. You seem more engaged," he observed, his eyes bright. "I feel it too," Clara admitted, her voice steady. "I realize that pursuing my dreams doesn't have to be a solitary journey." In that moment, she knew her initiative was destined to thrive, as it served not just herself, but others around her. Hours passed, filled with encounters and collaboration, and then a shout rang out from the back. A young girl found the wallet under a table. Cheers erupted, hands raised in victorious celebration, and Clara felt a rush of accomplishment wash over her. This was more significant than a mere object retrieved. It was an illustration of teamwork, of community, and it was what her health initiative fundamentally epitomized. Her heart swelled with pride as Mr. Thompson stepped forward, the lost wallet clutched in his hand. "Thank you, Clara. This wouldn't have happened without your encouragement." His acknowledgement resonated deeply within her, solidifying the foundation she had laid for herself. "I just organized the efforts," Clara replied, her voice humble yet confident. "Everyone here contributed." Clara turned back to see Rachel beaming at her from across the diner. The connection Clara had rekindled with her childhood friend felt significant, just as the love she had for her daughter was reinforcing her purpose. The intertwining of her personal life and aspirations became vivid, leading her to the realization that vulnerabilities she once feared could turn into sources of strength. That evening, Clara began outlining plans for their Health Corner initiative, feeding off the energy that had ignited so effortlessly. Every conversation, every compliment from customers became fuel for her journey. As she pieced together the final details in her notebook, she envisioned pamphlets that would connect their diner with community wellness, exercise tips, support groups, and details about local health events. These simple efforts would transform the diner into a hub for not only nourishment, but also holistic well-being. By the end of the week, Clara had solidified her ideas and presented a polished proposal to Mr. Thompson. This time, when he read through her outline, there was nothing but admiration in his gaze. "You've clearly thought this through, Clara. This can have a real impact. I'm proud of you." Recognition enveloped Clara as she soaked in his approving words, an affirmation that felt rightfully earned. She had crossed a barrier that had previously defined her. She was not just a waitress. She had become an architect of change within her own life and for those around her. Days turned to weeks, and Clara stood behind the counter, wearing her apron with renewed confidence. The Health Corner initiative had launched successfully, brimming with cards and pamphlets circulating among regulars and newcomers alike. The diner began bustling with curious patrons drawn to the new offerings. It felt like a fresh start, a vibrant energy sizzling among the tables, as if each person who stepped through the door was meant to be part of this transformative narrative. On a particularly bright Saturday morning, she watched families gather, absorbed in the wellness tips and sharing their own stories of healthy living. And there, holding her daughter's hand, Clara felt a serene satisfaction. Lily beamed with pride, sensing the excitement surrounding her mother. "Mom, can I help you at the diner when I grow up?" Lily's question fanned the flames of Clara's admiration and motivation. "Absolutely, sweetie. We're building something that matters. You can be part of it," Clara remarked, her heart swelling with hope and purpose. In that moment, Clara realized she had not only achieved her aspirations, but had also forged an unbreakable bond with her daughter that transcended doubts and fears. She became the role model she had always aspired to be. As they stepped into the bustle of the diner together, Clara knew she had conquered her past and embraced the potential of her future. Clara was ready to leap into every new challenge that awaited her, confident in her purpose and aiming high towards a fulfilling future. Her combination of dreams and dedicated effort painted a new, colorful canvas upon which her life was now drawn. It was time for the world to witness the full extent of her determination, and Clara was finally ready to own every facet of who she had become. Now, as the story closes, let's take a moment to remember how impactful Clara's transformation has been, and act accordingly. You need to subscribe now to witness more exclusive stories of personal overcoming that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping us share powerful narratives like this one. Comment below to share your reactions and theories about Clara's journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let's continue spreading inspiration and encouragement together.